You guys know what time it is. Get strapped in and ready for some good times. This is the Blowed Out Podcast. What is up, party people? Welcome to the show. It is I, your Fatty With A Natty, coming at you for another episode of the Blowed Out Podcast. How is everyone doing? I always pause like there's going to be an answer to that, but it gives you, the listener, a chance to answer that. I'm here. It is hot as balls here in northern Utah. We have been triple digits. Oh, Lord. I believe I read something that said so far this year, like 17 days or some ridiculous thing, which is just obscene. Typically, we do not get that here. Down south, St. George, there's parts of the state that do, but usually not up here against the mountains. We might see a couple of days in August, typically, but man, if things go to the usual plan, we're in big trouble for next month. Because I don't know, 105, Lord, if I wanted to live in Phoenix, guys, I would live in Phoenix, but I do not. So hopefully this decides to quit sooner or later. There's like, well, I don't know, 1 or 2 fires a day, and it's probably just people spontaneously combusting, truth be known. Unfortunately, there are 1,000 other factors like trains and humans and cars and, trailers dragging chains and people that go out and buy these things that have no idea what to do with them. So then they flip them and, oh man, it is ugly. I have realized that there is a solid possibility that my lawn is not going to recover. It has turned almost into dirt. It doesn't help that I've had some sprinkler issues that haven't been addressed properly. However, in this heat and dry, there's just no choice or just no chance for it. We got a few sprinkles, I don't know, like a week ago. Other parts, central Utah, I think I told you guys last time, was just getting jackhammered. Flash floods and, raining like a cow pissing on a flat rock. But, man, here in Ogden, it is literally just, you might as well just peed into the wind and caught the, 2 or 3 little sprinkles on your face. Not even enough to justify washing your face, which may sound gross, but it's really, that's how little it was. Sadly for Kevin O'Leary and Spencer Cox, this isn't looking good as far as their data centers are concerned, but it is giving some validity to the possible toxic dust blowing off of what used to be the Great Salt Lake. I may or may not work in a place that when I'm leaving, I can look out over the Great Salt Lake and see just how much of it isn't there. And honestly, it makes me sad. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this or not, but when I was a younger man, much younger man, we used to live much closer, and as kids, we would ride our bikes out there, literally to the shore, and play around. And it stinks, and we used to get in it because what did we care? But it stinks, but it's kind of cool. And then in the 80s, it flooded something fierce and destroyed the dike that connects Antelope Island to, I guess, mainland, for lack of a better term at the moment. And most of that was eroded away after the year or 3 that it was super full in the mid 80s. And we could bypass the gate on our bikes and go out there, and you could just ride your bikes out on what used to be a 2-lane road with just these giant pock marks taken out of it where it had sloughed off into the lake. And, it was actually pretty cool, but, for kids, I mean, dumb kids with nothing better to do that lived in the sticks. But now everything is literally built right up to the water's edge. I mean, I drive out there now and I don't recognize the place at all. And it blows my mind that what used to be just the stinkiest, most mosquito-infested nothingness is now occupied by Walmarts and Fizz and cookie-cutter, $750,000 houses as far as the eye can see. But I can also see the giant dust bowl that it has become. And it certainly doesn't help that we had basically nothing for a winter here. There were parts, and there were some places a little farther south, down in Salt Lake, that got some decent amounts of snow, but we were still well under 100% of snowpack for the majority of the state. So it's curious to me, that what that actually looks like in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I've been here for the majority of my 50 years, and I've seen it high, I've seen it low, I've seen it everything in between, but it is definitely what I would call dangerously low at this point. It's scary. I mean, I've been a mechanic and in aerospace and things of that nature for so long now that I harbor no belief that I probably am not going to die because of something I have ingested either in my lungs or in my mouth or bloodstream over the last 30 or 40 years. But it makes me wonder, about those who haven't, or who, kids and things who are particularly susceptible to those kinds of things. It definitely raises some interesting questions, especially when, the hot topic of the moment again is these data centers and or nuclear power facilities or nuclear life cycle facilities that require agua to function. And I don't understand, other than, the bureaucratic money, why any leader of this state, again, just other than just trying to funnel money into the state for his own bullshit agenda, why any of them would offer up this state as having any good real estate that would require water. Yes, we have a lot, a vast amount of nothingness out in the desert areas that would be fantastic for, said facilities, but they require water and crazy amounts of gas and everything else to function. And I personally don't see on any planet where that's feasible at all. But clearly I'm not an engineer, and thank God, because I still have common sense. It does lead me to wonder, however, how things are where you are. We've got listeners all over the globe. I would love to hear what things conditionally are in your neck of the woods. Is this a particularly dry year? Was Al Gore right, or any of the other guys that told us 30 years ago this was going to happen? Is this simply a cycle? Again, to me, I think it's just cycles. Like I said, I remember in the early 80s when we had literally more snow than we could even fathom what to do with. I remember going out with my father every morning and checking the levels with a yardstick. Not 3 or 4 inches, feet of snow daily. And then we have years where there's nothing. And then we have years where there's a lot again. And, granted, 82, now I can't remember if it was 82, 83 or 83, 84. That's definitely the worst that I can recall, at least in my relatively, feels like a long time, but relatively short time in the grand scheme of things. We had a pretty decent year again in 92, 93, something like that. But like I said, what I feel like I've witnessed over my lifespan has been just cycles. It's a good year, or it's a bad year, or it's a average year, or above or below. I think personally that these things just come and go, and I think that they've always just done that. And there are a lot of theories and hypotheses to support that line of thinking dating back millennia. So like I said, I would be curious to know if this, or how this is affecting the rest of the globe. Like I said, where some of you guys may be. Is it particularly dry? Is it particularly hot? I'd be curious to know. Drop me a line and let me know if you would, because it's about the only way I get some information that, with all the other garbage going on geopolitically, nobody reports on just the regular stuff, seemingly anymore, at least not on mainstream or social media. So I'm definitely dying to know if this is, a global thing this year, or if it's limited to certain regions. Speaking of garbage going on in the Middle East and, Lord, seemingly spreading outward, and I'm probably going to regret this, but I would also like to know your feelings on all of that mess. I would like to know if you think that any of the countries involved are doing the right or wrong thing. I would like to know if you think that it's going to end anytime soon. And by soon, let's call it Christmas. Let's just say that. Do I think that's possible? I think it's possible. I don't know that I would consider it probable, but I would definitely like to get other people's take on it. If you, again, think that we're doing the right thing, or if we should count whatever losses we have and just cut it off, and come home and call it a day. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. And now that there are a lot of other countries getting involved and it's seemingly spreading north, I'd definitely like to get some more people's perspectives on it, because I'm curious how this is going to play out with Ukraine and Russia and China and all of the other big players that are now, like I said, especially just in the last week, maybe 10 days, really jumping on board with things and starting to make moves of their own. Because I honestly don't care to even try and predict how it's going to end or turn out. I'm sure I've told you in the last episode or 3, I anymore am just trying to ignore it all. Sadly, I know that doesn't make anything better, and that's probably not the stance I should be taking. So ignore is probably a strong word, because I'm not ignoring it, but I am trying to allow it to take a back seat, because now it's just mundane. Now it's just every day, and what honestly I would dare call, at least what I would call it, is damn near an impasse. And I don't see the reason to sit and chew on my fingernails while staring at the screen waiting to see what's happening next, because like I said, it seems to just be, now it seems to be writing itself as a sitcom that really nothing changes week to week. I really wish that wasn't the case. I really wish that we could bandwagon with a few of them, get to the root of the problem, get it handled, and just be done with it. However, that being said, there are always things flying about, or seem to be lately, that, Israel this and Saudi that, and so sadly anymore, I feel like you don't even know where to stand anymore. I mean, obviously I stand with us, but anymore, what does that entail? Who are the good guys anymore? And who possibly are the bad guys pretending they're the good guys? I wish there were better answers, and there may be, in all fairness. Some of you guys may know, like I said, I'm honestly trying to not follow it that closely, so maybe some things have come out that I'm not aware of, and that's fine. I'm honestly okay with it. I went riding with my kids over the weekend up in the mountains, and couldn't have gave a damn about world politics, if I'm being 100% honest. I took some of my own advice, and we went and had a great time. Rode 50 miles through the trees and the mountains, and I think everyone should try and do that every weekend. Promise, it'll make you feel a lot better. And honestly, I think we touched on it last week, the whole common sense thing, and speaking a little bit about some people that I have to deal with on a daily basis. Hasn't gotten any better. In fact, it has gotten worse. As far as, I won't name names or places, but we can just say that there is a large group of individuals who are either employed because they claim they were smart, or possibly might actually be book smart, but I'm here to tell you that they are making me wish for a swift and shallow death because they are trying to step over $1 to pick up a dime, and apparently trying to make computer software that is modern or relevant in today's age work with machines that were built at least 30 years ago and want no part of it. And rather than just relent and say, we cannot do this, they, of course, their piece of paper and their engineering mindset says that they absolutely can. They should just throw more people and more time at it, and eventually it will just work. And I hate to tell them that they are not the first and won't be the last to try it, and it it just doesn't work that way. You cannot take a machine that was literally designed to run on Windows like 3.1, has the processing power of said Windows 3.1, and try and throw like Windows 11 Enterprise or, some sort of fancy new age stuff at it and expect it to know what is going on. It blows my mind. I will leave it at that because, again, apparently they are smarter than me. They have a piece of paper that says so. But it will never cease to amaze me that those, and I've been dealing with these types of folks for, well, I don't know, almost 3 decades now, or 2.5 anyhow. And it never ceases to amaze me that they will always resort to the piece of paper and the book that told them that it's capable or that it's able to be done and they're that smart, rather than go to the folks in the trenches and ask, why it won't or what the problem seems to be. Why won't this do that? Or why can't we do that? According to, my schooling and everything says we can. And some of us in the trenches would be able to say, well, it can't do that because of this. They don't tell you that in the book. We had to find it out the hard way. But you don't want to ask us, what the things are that we have learned the hard way. You want to just, yeah, you know what? You're right. I should let that topic go and take a break. So we'll be back, kids. Hey guys, Ryan here, aka the Fatty With A Natty. Are you a business owner or marketing director looking to explore how advertising on the Blowed Out podcast can help your business or organization grow? As we push further into our 4th season, we have gained a listening audience in over 270 cities spread across 58 countries worldwide. All this while continuing to grow every week. In 2026, podcasts will statistically outpace social media, display, and terrestrial radio ads by over 4 times on average. If you would like to discuss pricing, frequency, and ROI options, email us at blowedoutpodcast@gmail.com with marketing in the subject line. That's blowedoutpodcast@gmail.com, subject marketing. For as much as I claim to be at least smarter than average and dumb all in the same breath, I wish I was smart enough to realize 25 years ago that my sister was more of an asset to me than I thought at the time. Anyhow, I realized that was probably a weird segue after the break. But, and of course now it's just a hair too late. But I did want to wish my sweet baby sister Nicole a happy birthday. She would have been 47 years old yesterday by the time you guys hear this. Like I said, I wish I would have realized that at the time. I wish I would have realized that I would still to this day wish she was around. But, there's not a damn thing anybody can do about it now. But I think about it often. I think about a lot of stuff often, specifically involving her. But, we were dumb kids, and I'm pretty sure that is normal sibling behavior. Anyhow, happy birthday, Nick. I know some of you guys listening had the opportunity to know her. And if you were lucky enough to know her, you know what kind of a amazing powerhouse she was. Anyhow, I won't get too much sappier on that topic. But again, happy birthday, Nick. Hopefully you're sitting on a beach, having an umbrella drink with Mom somewhere, enjoying this world much more than some of the rest of us. Well, or probably all of us for that matter. I hope you guys are enjoying it as well, but at least they don't have to deal with all this horse shit on a daily basis like we do. So ultimately, they're the lucky ones, right? I left off talking about common sense and some of the folks that I'm having to deal with as of late that seemingly have little to none. And luckily, like I tell my daughter all the time, you can't cancel someone who was never relevant in the first place, so I'm not worried about getting canceled. I didn't name names. But on that same note, some of those folks who I attempted to help and fell on deaf ears got upset with me when I brought it to their attention that, unfortunately, I am unable to help you if you don't tell me what you need help with. And that upset them. And I had to attempt to calmly explain to them that I need you to help me help you. If you ask me for something, and then I ask you either what you said because I didn't hear it correctly. I've got a lot of years of a lot of loud environments, so I don't hear so well. But when that doesn't get answered, I can't help you if you don't help me help you. And that translates to a lot of other things in life, and I'm sure you guys can understand what I'm talking about. I'm glad to help anyone, whether or not it's my obligation or not. But I can't help you if you're not willing to help yourself. And that presents a whole separate set of issues that I don't understand why people don't get. I wish it was the case more, and don't get me wrong, I'm certain that I have done it myself, but to ask for help and then not be willing to help myself, it's just, that's not a good recipe for getting help. Anyhow, figured I'd throw that in there. But speaking of, I don't know, for somehow we're going to use this as a segue into helping yourself. And if you have been on the fence about buying SpaceX, now is the time to help yourself. We're in the lull. It is down bordering about $113 or something like that. So now's probably the time to buy. It won't stay in the lull forever. It's going to go up and down, of course, just like everything. With all business comes risk. However, it's going to go up, and I'm pretty sure as of today it was already on its way. So if you were looking for a good time to get in, now might be it. Figured I'd throw that in there. Had absolutely nothing to do with the conversation, but that's how I roll, right? Another thing that has absolutely nothing to do with the conversation is the fact that the air conditioning keeps cycling about every 90 seconds. So if you guys keep hearing something, that's what it is. That's how hot it is still at, 12:30 a.m. I'm pretty sure, and I would have to look it up, and I apologize for not having the information ready, but I'm pretty sure last night we hit a record of overnight high also. It was like 103 today, and I don't believe last night it ever dropped below like 88 or some godforsaken thing. Like I said, it's like Phoenix, and I don't know where else is that hot. Phoenix always comes to mind. I'm certain a lot of places in the world, but it is not supposed to be in one of the arms of the Rocky Mountains. I can assure you that. It was also 103 degrees over the weekend in Billings, Montana, for the 108th running of the Great American Hill Climb. I know I told you guys about it. Hopefully, some of you got to catch it. It looked like an amazing time, and that also wraps up the end of the Rockwell Hill Climb Series points for 2026, with Bronson Foglianini coming out as your winner. Great dude. And all of us here at Evolution Design Works and the X12 family couldn't be happier for you. Congratulations, my friend. You have earned it. Everyone made a great showing. It was a gnarly hill with the heat. Not a lot of traction to be had. Everybody rode their hearts out. So congratulations to everyone. Job well done. And you shouldn't hear too much out of me for the rest of the year on hill climbs. I'll announce, of course, the World Championships, but we're a little ways off of that still for East-West Championship. But again, congrats to everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. Sorry it was so hot, and can't wait to see you guys soon. I have also mentioned that Speed Week, officially the fastest place on Earth, starts this Saturday on the Bonneville Salt Flats. The fastest place on Earth. It's going to be a scorcher, guys. So hopefully everybody gets a chance to make it out there. The salt looks phenomenal from all the reports I've been seeing. A couple of friends, I wish everything would have made it out in one piece for this event, but that's racing. Shit happens. Anyhow, will still be a phenomenal event. If you guys are flying in or in that neck of the woods, if you've never been to the salt before, remember to protect your bits, drink lots of water, take shade. It's going to be gnarly out there, but well worth it. Hopefully the mornings, overnights will cool off enough. You'll get to see some big numbers when the air's still dense first thing in the morning. And then throughout the day, you never know. If everybody gets it dialed in just right, you can still make big power in the heat. It's going to be great. Starts this Saturday and runs through the 9th, I believe. So have fun and good luck to everyone heading out for Speed Week. Cracks me up to sit here and say that as I'm staring at what's left of the gas can that nearly took my life from me in 2008 out at the Salt Flats. Anyhow, I figured I'd throw that in there. It made for an interesting set of stories, and I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing of it, but it's fun to sit here and say that while I'm staring at it on the wall, so figured I'd throw that in there too. As much as I hate to have to admit it, we are heading into the dog days of summer, which also means school is right around the corner. Ugh, God. I don't know. I figured I was going to try and come up with some prophetic thing to say about how everything's winding down and blah, blah, but that's not true. We've still got plenty of time. And with the weather the way it is, Lord, we're going to be going clear till November at this point. So nothing prophetic to say at this point about winding down into the dog days of summer other than please everyone be careful. Wear sunscreen, If you've got itchy spots or moles that don't look like moles and things, maybe you should get checked out. I know I probably should, but it is what it is. We'll keep you posted on all kinds of stuff. We've still got plenty of good stuff lined up for the rest of the year. We're kind of holding off on big riding trips for anyone local who wants to come ride with us. Excuse me. We're kind of holding off till it cools off a little bit. But there are plenty of other places that are still great. And don't get me wrong, like I said, we went riding just a few days ago, and it was fantastic. It was at least a few degrees cooler, and once you're moving, it's great. I just don't necessarily want to go sit in it for 3 days, you know, all huddled up under the awning of the camper, praying for a sprinkle, but that's just because I'm old and getting pissy. I think everyone can relate, right? Honestly, it's better than sitting, well, it's not better than sitting in the AC, but it's better than sitting in the AC listening to who is the front runner for the next election or who's sending missiles here or shite there. Ooh, in all fairness, I am kind of curious to see what comes out of this whole Fauci congressional hearing thing. And also, I believe Biden, unless I read that wrong, also has some congressional hearing stuff coming up. I love Brandon Gill and the other guy. I'll go ahead and say that. I know the other guy doesn't mean anything when I say it like the other guy, but those congressional hearing guys are fantastic. And if Brandon Gill could run for president, boy, I'll tell you what, that would be awesome. But I am curious to see what comes of those because I have seen, of course, probably the same thing as all you guys have, some stuff being leaked or, I don't know, possibly made up on social media or mainstream media that Fauci, all this mess, all the COVID mess, all of it was the sham that we wondered that it was. So I'm probably going to try and follow that one because I am super curious. I know that you guys all remember that time. It was not scary to me. I'm sure I've told you guys before. On paper, I had it like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. And typically it was nothing. It was, the upper respiratory infection that it is or was or could have been, or I don't know. I think it's all horse shit. But one time I did have it pretty gnarly. At least that's what they called it. Put me on oxygen, the whole 9 yards. But it was never scary to me as a pandemic. But it did mess with everyone's lives. And that's a problem. And even if it comes out that he knew about it or was actually involved in the gain-of-function research and all of those things, then he absolutely should have to pay for that. To what degree, I don't know. I wouldn't go so far as to call him a war criminal or anything ridiculous like that. But, like I said, that jacked with a lot of people, and I know a lot of folks whose businesses never recovered, and, you hear a lot of things on the interwebs about, like, kids who will never be right, or never be okay because of it. That is just horseshit, in my opinion, but, they got some time off school, so what, or had to go remote. Honestly, I wouldn't have sucked if it would have been me, but anyhow, it'd be interesting to see what comes of all of that mess. So, something to keep your eye on if you are interested like myself. Other than that, it's pretty much just kind of a normal week, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. Like I said, hope everyone is doing well. Shout out to our sponsors, or our partners, rather, Evolution Design Works and Fine Finishes. I should probably shut up for this week. Some of you may or may not agree. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you will try and be good. Try and be good to one another. But also, I recently found out that someone apparently was trying to mess with some of my family. This was an isolated incident, and it was more of a creeper-style incident than anything involving an AirTag and someone at a truck stop or a rest stop. That's going to end poorly if I find out who you are, or you decide to take that information and run with it. I assure you, it will end poorly. But that is not why I brought it up. I brought it up because clearly the crazies are out and about more than ever. So please keep your heads on a swivel. Pay attention, guys. Situational awareness. I know I preach this a lot, and for good reason. Be really damn aware of the people and the happenings around you, guys. It could be, it could be the difference between life or death or endangering you or a family member. Please keep your heads on a swivel. Like I said, try and be good to one another. And, you never know. You just never know. Anything is possible nowadays. Keep an eye on your bank accounts, all that garbage. Anyhow, I will shut up. I love each and every one of you. Tell a friend, tell a family member, and, have a listen. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk soon. Cheers, guys.